Testing on
episode
245. 245. I feel like the numbers 245, there's like some significance with them that I just can't think of right now. But I also feel that way like every episode. Every episode when there's a new number, I'm like, man, 243. That definitely means something. Was that Mike Jones's area code? And I just can't remember the rest of the number. Like, what is the significance of this number? But today, 245 for sure. There's something about this number. Let me do a quick. All right, perfect. I want to do a quick sound check. But yeah, it's episode 245. We're here. Thank you guys for showing up or watching this on the VOD. And it's going to be a good episode. I feel like there's a lot of things happening right now, but none of it is like really funny. I feel like all the stuff in the news right now is terrible. And it's hard to put a comedic spin on some of this terrible news. But we're going to most certainly try.
We're going to try to, but there is some terrible stuff. But
there's just terrible things happening.
But you know what? The reason I'm a little hesitant to talk about certain things is I'm not an expert.
You're not an expert?
I'm not an expert
okay.
on some of the things that I like to discuss. And apparently you shouldn't be talking at all about anything.
Unless you're an expert.
Unless you're an expert.
Yeah. Some people feel that way.
Yeah.
But you know, if that was the reality, then we'd be on episode 0, right?
Yeah. And not only episode 0 wouldn't be America.
No, yeah, that's also a thing. We would never have. We're not experts on anything.
Yeah,
certainly not the things we talk about. So I don't know. I feel like you want to give some context.
Yeah, the context is that Joe Rogan had Dave Smith on there, along with some douchebag Douglas Murray. This guy's the biggest, lamest cornball I've ever seen in my life. He thinks nobody can talk about anything unless you're an expert.
That's the English dude.
Yeah. The guy that's like, the guy that talked like Scar from The Lion King. That guy, he's like, every time they ask him something, he was just like, oh. You remember how Scar was like that in The Lion King? He's like, I guess you're at the shallow end of the gene pool. Yeah. So that's the way this guy talked the whole time, and he's such a pompous asshole.
That's how the dude with white hair from Harry Potter talks.
Yeah. Yeah, what, Dumbledore?
No. The evil guy. The evil one with white hair.
Oh yes, the guy when they had their like really like feeble old man wizard fight.
He had the cane and shit.
Yeah,
he pulled a wand out the cane.
Bro, that shit looked to me like a dementia unit, except they really have powers instead of just being confused.
What if they did a spin and the whole thing was like just a bunch of crazy people like thinking that they had that, but they were really in like a psych ward the whole time?
Yeah, that's really the Matrix. You know, it's like that's their version of the Matrix. You know, like they were in the Matrix, but really they were just plugged in. They were just plugged in on a stretcher somewhere.
Yeah. But real quick, go back to what we were talking about.
Yeah, we digress. But yeah, so this guy, Douglas Murray, his whole take with Dave Smith. Dave Smith was a comedian that then, you know, became somewhat fascinated with geopolitics and world stuff that's going on. So he talks about it, and he actually he's well read. He's you know, as far as I can see, he's well versed on what he talks about, and he's been respected by multiple platforms. Like he's been on Candace Owens, he's been on a lot of different platforms, like PBD, really high rated podcasts that kind of operate in this space. But for some reason, this guy Douglas Murray was saying it's weird that he has an opinion on all this stuff when he's not an expert on the subject. Pretty much, he's not an academic of sorts, so he can't be involved in this.
Yeah, I feel like academia does that often. Like if you're not a scientist, then you can't speak about like science.
Yeah, like how dare you guys say, you know, like not allow Terrence Howard to guide your practices when it comes to space.
Yeah.
You know, but this guy, Dave Smith, really knows about this kind of stuff. And the fact that they don't let him talk, or I shouldn't say they don't let him, this guy thinks he shouldn't be allowed to. Yeah. It was crazy. And he had no real, they literally debated about Israel. And the guy had no facts. I'm like, you claim to be an expert. He's writing books about all this stuff. And all he does is kind of just talking metaphors and talking kind of...
Because they're gatekeeping. It's the same reason why if you had a experiment where we're trying to prove something wrong, right? The people, you'll never get it published. Like academia would never look at it and say like, oh, nobody would ever be able to cite your experiment because you're not a scientist, even though you could have did everything right. And although you don't have the, traditional training of a scientist, if you perform something successfully, that's what it is. If I make a cake, it's a cake. Even though I'm not a baker.
Yeah.
I'm not a pastry chef, but I know how to fucking make a pie.
Yeah, and it's more than possible that you know how to make a damn good pie.
Yeah.
So that's a good day. That's good. Like, because it's the same way like anything. I just think it's weird that this guy has a problem with a person that's not a scholar. Like, you had to see what his reaction when he found out that Dave Smith never went to Gaza. He was like, you mean to tell me you've never been down there? You've never touched the dirt? You've never touched the soil, and yet you want to talk so much?
Why would he go there?
Dude, he said...
The people that are there don't want to be there.
Yeah, Dave Smith was like, okay. He's like, we can't visit Nazi Germany. He's like, but you can still have an opinion on it. Yeah. And the guy's like, well, you can't time travel, Dave. I was like, I hate this guy. And he's a young guy talking like that. It's not like he's some old man with a mustache. He's a young guy like,
he's gatekeeping.
Yeah, exactly.
He's gatekeeping. We talked about this before, but it's like, when you hear Joe Rogan talk about things, he's talking about certain things because he speaks to experts about this stuff. He learns, and then he essentially, for lack of a better term, regurgitates this stuff, to other people and educating them on it. But it's, he doesn't have to be, a horse trainer. If he spoke to a professional horse trainer and that's how this guy told him how it's done, then he could tell other people that's how it's done because it came from him, which is essentially what scientists are doing. They're just reading a bunch of books from other scientists that tell them how it's done, and then they do it based off of that. So what's the real difference? That he doesn't have the traditional training? Yeah, possibly, but it most certainly doesn't mean that he can't have an opinion and can't speak to things, especially when he's correct about some of the stuff.
Yeah, he's correct about a lot of it, and his opinion is respected by people that are respected.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is so ridiculous, but it's almost like you have to be an expert. Sometimes you can teach yourself. Like, did you see? You know what I'm going to talk about?
It's about who you know.
It's about who you know, man. Did you see that guy, that guy in Kenya, that lawyer that wasn't really a lawyer? This guy's undefeated. Guy won 27 cases, including his own case.
Yeah, dude. That is. How do you get caught up? That you get caught impersonating a lawyer, and then they pull you in and you're undefeated. You haven't lost a single case. There's not one disgruntled, client.
Yeah.
And then they bring you in, and then you win that lawsuit too.
Yeah. So, I'm getting some heat in the comments because I was like, clearly, this is, I said it needs to be stated because they said a Kenyan man. You could be a Kenyan man and be anywhere in the world.
Oh, okay.
He was a Kenyan man. But then when I looked into the story, I was like, oh, this is in Kenya. He had one of them stupid fucking wigs on and shit, and dressed in a fucking. He was dressed like a pilgrim and shit.
Yeah, one of those syphilis wigs.
Yeah, one of them pilgrim outfits on and shit. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I was like, this shit is going on in Kenya. I'm like, this is bullshit. I'm like, this is why it's happening in. I said, let's be clear. I said, this is happening in this bullshit Kenyan court. Let's be for real. And people are like hot in the comments, like, how you don't know nothing about their system? How you know it's bullshit? I said, dude, he's not a lawyer. And he went 27-0 against real lawyers.
They're probably still drowning wishes out there. That's crazy.
I'm like, what do you mean? I don't know the system. The dude never went to law school, knows nothing, and he's winning everything.
He's 27-0. Yeah. I can't speak. I'm not an expert on the legal system in Kenya, but I would wager that it's maybe not as ethical as other countries possibly, and it's not just Kenya. There's plenty of other countries that have not the most ethical legal systems. So I think I might agree with you on this one.
I mean, what are the other answers? Like, people were like, the U.S. system is BS more than anything. I said, listen, bro, ain't nobody pretending to be a lawyer in America and smoking cases.
Yeah, there
All
are
right.
people who sit in prison long enough to essentially become like experts but they're experts like in their defense, like they're looking up things for their specific case. That guy's not going to leave prison and then open up like a malpractice, place. Like they're looking for information that can exonerate them for the crimes they've been committed guilty for. So they sit in prison, they study, they do all this stuff. And I don't think that's the same as this guy.
No, this argument was brought to me in the comments.
Oh, was it?
Absolutely. The guy said, yo, you can't say that. He's like, I know people that went to prison and damn near became self-trained lawyers and helped other people beat their cases and went on appeals. But I said again, these people are advocating. The guy didn't come out and he wasn't trying cases. Yeah. All right. I was like, that's not what this guy was doing. Okay.
Yeah. They're
coming out of prison. He wasn't like on the other side of the glass on the phone representing his client.
Yeah.
That's not what was happening. He might have been like, yo, homie, this is what I think you should do.
Yeah. You got to write, dude, you got to write an appeal. Have you wrote an appeal?
Right.
You got to write an appeal. First things first, you got to file out the 403B.
Yeah.
There is one guy though. Did you see like recently he's been in the news? He's like a guy who was in prison for like 30 years or something like that for like a crime he allegedly didn't commit, and he came out and like passed a bar or went to law school or something like that. He's now a lawyer and now he's helping other people. But that guy
I know. Marty Tankliff did that too. He was the guy that got from Long Island that got put in prison for killing his parents.
And then he came out and now he's a lawyer?
And he was found not guilty like 25 years later or some shit.
Jeez.
Or like, so he came out, went to law school, and now he's an attorney.
Yeah, so there are like
But he went to law school.
Oh, yeah, bingo.
That's the whole point, is he came out and went to law school. This guy just one day was like, let's start taking some clients.
Well, it's like you said, they're dressed like they're going to like a recreation of like the Confederate War or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, they look like they're fighting the North,
Yeah. Bro, I swear to God, when I seen the picture of him, it looked like Disney was doing a George Washington rendition. Swear to God, I thought they were doing a George Washington biopic.
Yeah,
I thought Disney was doing it. I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah, I swear to God, I was like, this is outrageous. But, then I had to look at it. I was like, the court is actually over there. It wasn't some dude in Jersey over here holding it down.
Yeah, you thought this guy was going to tell you the redcoats are coming. That's not the fucking case. He thought this guy was going to come in guns a-blazing on the horse.
Bro, oh my God.
Isn't it crazy that people, like those old, and the legal system, the courts specifically, are very much like this, I think, across the board. They're so archaic in the way like they do certain things. The fact that these guys are still wearing wigs that now we know were used because these guys all had syphilis and they were losing their hair is crazy.
Yeah.
Like they're still wearing these wigs and you still got to call them your honor. And then, and there's this like weird hierarchy and they sit above everybody else. It's like, it's weird. Why can't we just like state the facts without having to suck you off,
Yeah, all these stupid practices, all these traditions. But anyway, what do you got?
Spaz says, I don't see an issue with somebody doing an act of a lawyer. I only see an issue with if they're lying about their credentials. I'd pay the same dude that does your friend's taxes to fight my parking tickets. Yeah, if you're upfront about it. So here's the thing. If you're upfront about it, now I can accept and assume the risk. Like I'm accepting the risk now. You're not an attorney, but you just banged out 27 other cases and you won. So I'm going to take the risk and allow you to represent me. That's different. I think that this guy, he was saying he's a lawyer.
Yeah, dude, I'm sure there's some kind of licensing credential or something that you need. You can't just go up in there and be like, yo, this my man. I'm about to represent him.
In Kenya, they're definitely still laminating licenses and shit. So.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man.
There's something fugazi. You know what? Kenya might be like a booming country and we just are ignorant.
And I just sound like a complete and total idiot, but that's why I think it's insane to require me to be an expert.
Yeah,
because I'm not.
Judging by his outfit, we don't think that their legal system's very much up to date. I think they're still calling people on the rotary phone and shit. Like I'm just saying that I don't think that they worked from home during COVID.
Yeah.
Like I don't think they had virtual court over there.
Yeah.
I think if you stole a goat, you might have got away with it during the vid. I think if you were caught doing some Kenyan crime, like you had to wait until everything was over. I don't think that they were going to put you in front of a webcam. Their system was different. That's all I'm saying is that, it's probably unethical as fuck.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There had to be something, but yeah, people were not happy when I was like, clearly this is like got to be some kind of bullshit court system. I mean,
also another thing about paying the guy that does your taxes to pay your ticket is that the only way that that's worth it is that if this guy is significantly cheaper and is likely to complete this task, right? Because if this person is presenting themselves as a lawyer or charging lawyer fees, then you should probably just get a lawyer who does this often. Unless your tax guy does this often, because I don't think it's like the credentials of being a lawyer that make you that are going to make you win cases. It's like experience. You know, like people who have been in the field for a long time, who have done these cases over and over and over, who understand the law, who know like the loopholes and know like they've done these cases or studied these cases so often that they can kind of determine like what the outcome is going to be. That's why, you know, you go to a lawyer and they're like, listen, you hear this all the time, especially with celebrities that get into trouble. They're like, oh, I went to this lawyer and he said for $50,000, I'll make it go away. Like there's a reason why he knows that this is the work it's going to take in, because this is what's happened in the past based off of this historical data. This is what we're going to go for. We're going to try, and I have to work this hard. That's why it's going to cost you this much.
yeah.
Like I want to go for the guy with experience. If that's the guy that happens to not have a license, then, you know, so be it.
I mean, they just shut down a dentist office. Did you see that lady?
She wasn't a real.
On Long Island, bro. She wasn't a real dentist, bro.
Yeah, but that happens a lot on Long Island, dude.
Yeah.
In
really?
my old neighborhood,
Like fake dentists?
oh, dude,
Bro,
I don't want to even say anything.
Shut up, bro.
Dude, I'm not even kidding, dude. That happens so often. But I don't know anybody, but the stories that I heard, these are dentists from other countries.
Okay, that makes sense. And then they had trouble getting licensed
Because
here.
you know, our neighborhoods that we grew up in are densely populated with people who
Are foreign.
Foreign people.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, you know, had careers back home, and sometimes they don't always translate. So, but that dentist specifically, I heard that a lot more than like died. You don't hear about doctors or anything like I know, I get that they're doctors too, but you don't hear too much about like medical doctors or like the lawyer one you hear often. Like I was a lawyer in, you know, Kenya.
That kid had like 4 OB offices. He was like delivering babies.
In Florida, right?
Yeah, it was in some state.
He was American. That guy wasn't a doctor anywhere.
No.
The people I don't know these people, but the people that I heard about, they were legit dentists.
Oh, okay, so they really were dentists
In another
back home.
country, they just weren't dentists here, but they were in the crib.
Damn. Yeah, I mean, I want to know what where were they getting supplies? Where are they getting supplies at, bro? They probably just had people overnighting it.
I mean, like, you can go buy like things like, you know, you can buy all that equipment. Who's going to not sell it to you?
Yeah, no, of course. I'm just wondering, like, because there's no regulations. There's nobody regulating the equipment that she's using and stuff. So I wonder where she was getting. Was she getting from Alibaba?
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's like the equipment. It's mostly like, I think it's about like the sterilization. I think that's something that you get, like not just the expertise, but also like being in like a sterile area where you're not going to catch an infection. Like somebody could do a great job and know what they're doing, but not have an appropriate, you know, space to be doing this work. And then you, as a result, you get an infection in this perfectly done, you know, crown or whatever, or a root canal. And now you're in a way worse situation. That's what happens a lot when it comes to plastic surgery in other countries. Yeah, people go to other countries and they get plastic surgery, and while the surgery might have been successful, you end up with this nasty infection, then you can't get on a plane, and then you die over there. You know,
bro, I watched Botched a few times. You ever see that show?
I love
Botched?
that show. You kidding me? Yeah, they be bringing in chicks look like horses and shit,
bro.
The wildest creatures on that show, and all these motherfuckers are like addicted to plastic surgery, yet we're putting them on a show and then putting them through more plastic surgery. And these guys are like drug dealers. It's like, no, this is the last line of coke that you're going to have to do. We're so good at this that you're not going to have to do anymore. And they're like, oh, please, doctor, save me.
Yeah.
You know, save me.
And he's like, look at these things. He's like, these are way out of proportion. Yeah. He's like, listen, all we're going to do, he's like, I'm just going to, you know, we're just going to straighten this out. I'm going to fill this guy up a little bit. I'm going to bring this guy and just bring him up a little bit. He's like, and it's going to be just like this. He's like this.
Yeah, I like that guy. You talk about the guy with the black hair. He might be Italian or something like that.
Yeah. That's
my favorite guy. He definitely loves his job. And the guy is, he's got hands given by the gods. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, dude.
He's an excellent craftsman. The other guy's good, but particularly with the noses.
Yeah.
This other guy, when it comes to breasts, the dude's a magician.
Yeah, he's like an artisan.
Yes,
Like I wish I
100%.
could see him work through a window, you know, like he was making bread,
Oh, yes, 100%.
but instead just see him doing his thing.
The dude's a Sivonier of fucking tits, bro. You know what I'm saying? An expert. If anybody could talk about breasts, it's him. And I apologize for dropping the F-bomb so abruptly, but it's how I feel, you know?
See my.
That's all I'm saying.
I have a very funny friend,
Yeah.
and I'm glad that you guys get to experience him. I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you right now. This is
Yeah.
why we do this.
Yeah. You want to talk about, I guess we go to our topics. My book of sonnets is over there, but I kind of remember a lot of my topics.
All right, so let's go.
What do you want to talk about that kid being held hostage in El Salvador right now who is wrongfully deported to a detention center or a prison in El Salvador?
He went to that. Didn't he go to that crazy prison that's got like 40,000 people in it or something like that? They make them all walk bent over with like handcuffed.
Yeah.
That shit is
He's in there.
insane.
They have like a super prison.
So he got accidentally deported in the mix of all of the like people they were trying to get out that they said had gang affiliation.
Yeah. He was deported incorrectly. The United States has stated that they've like identified with the fact that he was deported like unnecessarily.
Okay.
But they're just not bringing him back, and they're saying that he's a gang member, and that's what the president of El Salvador is saying too. He's like, we're not usually into releasing terrorists, because they're saying the media is asking El Salvador. And that guy, I don't really dislike that guy because he kind of cleaned things up over there. But essentially what they're asking him is like, all right, well, you know that he shouldn't be imprisoned, so why don't you let him go? And he's like, let him go in El Salvador? He's like, I'm not letting him. He's like, we're not into letting terrorists loose. Like, we're over here. Because what originally came out is that this guy was a gang member.
Okay.
But now the story has flipped, and they're saying that he's not really a gang member, but he got caught up with two other dudes, like in like an ICE raid or something like that, and then they stated that he was a gang member. But they're saying that the guy said that he was a gang member to try to get himself out, but the guy has no other history of being a gang member aside from this one other person who was being arrested with him, alleging that he's a gang member.
Damn. So he really just wrong place, wrong time, and now he's in this real deal prison.
Yeah, but also he has some kind of status. He shouldn't be over there. That's the thing, is that I don't know what he has, if he has like TPS or he has something here. He's allowed to be here, essentially.
Okay, he may not have citizenship, but
Yeah.
he's here. He got here and was here by legal means.
Yeah, because there's a bunch of ways you could be here. You don't just have to be a citizen. You could be a resident. You could be a permanent resident. You can be somebody with temporary protected status.
That's the TPS you just referred to. Okay.
Exactly. So there's other forms of being here legally outside of like being a citizen. You could be here on a visa, and there's a bunch of different kinds of visas you could be here on. So there's a bunch of reasons why people who may not have the status particularly can be here because of, and still be within the law,
Okay.
the confines of the law.
Fair enough, man. So they really dropped the ball with this one then. It sounds like
Yeah.
they really dropped the ball.
Spaz is asking, did you read about Vitali? If you're talking about Vitali going to he's
The
like
Philippines.
in the Philippines, like fucking with people,
Yeah.
they lock that motherfucker up.
Bro, he's facing like life.
Is he still in jail over there?
Dude, he's still over there. They won't extradite him.
They haven't let him out?
Dude, no, he's going to face charges in the Philippines. They're not extraditing him to America or anything.
Did you watch the videos
Bro,
of him like harassing people?
No, I saw him up there in handcuffs when that guy was sitting down and speaking Tagalog and saying like this, and I was reading the subtitles and they were like, we don't do this here. You come here, you break the law, you know, whatever. And they said like he's straight up facing possible life over there, bro.
Damn, dude, he's never gonna eat pineapple fried rice again, dude. When I tell you, he was like in the videos where he's bothering people. One of the scenes, he's like in a mall, and I don't know if it's a police officer or a security guard, but he has like one of those like cop hats, you know what I'm saying? With like they kind of come up here and they got like the badge and shit in them.
Yeah.
And he takes it from the guy. and like
He
puts
takes
it
the
on,
guy's
like
hat?
runs it and like runs out. Yeah, like just super childish stuff. The stuff that you and I talk about all the time and how it's ridiculous that this stuff gets views and people love it, and because it's so ridiculous that people just love watching people mess with people in the public, but they wouldn't like it done to themselves. He's doing that kind of stuff.
Wow. See, dude, people make the mistake of going other places in the world and thinking that they play by America's rules. You can't do that. Like, you know, it makes me think about all these different people. Like, yeah, how many times have we seen, you know, stuff like like Brittany Griner getting caught out there, like just because you're allowed to have vape pens and stuff in the US because it's legal in most states, you can't take that shit to another country.
Yeah, it's crazy. I wonder. I don't know. I don't think we're gonna trade a terrorist for him. He's gonna have to hope Putin comes and saves him.
Please, that locked up abroad stuff and that to catch a smuggler and all that.
I love that.
When I see that kind of stuff, I get so anxious. I couldn't imagine you're in a foreign country and they pull up on you saying you're going to jail.
Being in a prison, and especially in one of those countries, like what's the one in Mexico? I mean, El Salvador. That guy, bro. They say that I think they only eat like tortillas and rice or some shit like that.
Yeah, there's a few countries that do that because they're just like, this isn't this isn't a good thing.
Yeah, where this isn't a hotel. Like the president from I forgot what country it was, where he said he was like this isn't a hotel. He goes, you think that people are here and you're gonna have a good time? That's how he goes, you know what? No rice for a week.
Really?
Yeah, I forgot what it was. I forgot what country it was. But he was like, you want us to take away the rice? We'll take away the rice. You know? They get what they're gonna get.
Yeah. See, and that to me is it makes you think, because I know I saw this interview with this dude that was in a jail. I think it was a jail. I don't want to say the wrong country, but it was another country. And he said that it was so crazy. He said they don't give you anything. He said everything has to be provided by your family.
Oh, damn.
He's like, they give you nothing, bro. He's like, they don't give you clothes. They don't give you shoes. They don't give you shit to shower with. He's like, your family has to literally deliver the stuff to you. They have to bring it. He's like, they will not spend money on giving you this stuff. All they do is they give you food and water.
That's crazy.
He's like, that's all they give you is food and water.
Spaz is saying, and I didn't even think about this, is that his cameraman's also being slammed.
Oh, shit.
Which is like, now here I am. I feel conflicted. Because I don't necessarily feel like he should be in prison as well.
The cameraman?
Yeah. Do you think he's like an accessory to this crime? Like, he didn't participate in it. I don't like these crimes where like you didn't do it, but you got to go to jail for it too.
Nah, I think that this might be somewhat a little more maybe appropriate. I would think, like, because
he's an employee of his.
Yeah, he's an employee, but the way I'm thinking of this is if you're driving a car and somebody just like harms somebody while you're driving the vehicle. It's like, yeah, you didn't do it, but are they going to assume you're part of it and blame you for it? Yeah.
But I don't think that should happen. You know? That's like if you were being chased by the police, right? And the police get into a car accident, and as a result of that car accident, somebody dies. You get hit with that charge for that killing, for like that murder, because...
You mean if you're driving the vehicle?
Even if you're not driving a vehicle that strikes, if they crash, and this is like, I don't know if this always happens. This has happened in the past. The police were chasing somebody. In that pursuit, a cop struck another person and killed that person, pursuing the bad guy. The bad guy was charged with the death of that person who was struck while he was being chased.
That's crazy. You don't think that's crazy?
I think that's crazy, just like I think it's crazy that the cameraman gets caught up too because he didn't commit a crime. He's filming this person. And I don't think it's like, I guess he's an accessory to it, but I think the whole accessory thing, in my opinion, and somebody could probably clear, like an attorney could probably clear this up to me, and I would probably be able to rationalize why it's okay. But for the most part, I think it's like, I don't think I should be an accessory. I don't think I should go to jail for murder, or I don't think he should go to jail, particularly because he's also his employee. I think that, like, when somebody gets set up, like if me and you, I set somebody up for you to rob, and then you kill them while you're robbing them, we both go to jail for that murder. I think that's okay.
Damn, where's that Kenyan lawyer when you need him?
Yeah, right. We got to
settle this thing once and for all.
I don't know. Do you think that he should be in prison for filming this incident, like being a part of it? I guess.
I mean, I don't like to see, really, prison is just so terrible. I don't want to ever say that anybody belongs in prison, but sometimes, I mean, with this particular case, it's almost like Vitali was only doing this for one reason, to put it on video. So without that guy's camera pointing at Vitali, he wouldn't be doing any of this, even though it's Vitali's idea.
Yeah, but we could go down that rabbit hole and say if nobody watched him, that if we didn't watch him, he wouldn't be doing it either. Spaz says the same thing, essentially. He says, well, you can argue that Vitali ain't doing those stunts without the camera rolling. And the cameraman knows what he's doing is wrong. I think the cameraman's lawyer has an easier job to avoid charges. Yeah, 100%. I think he has an easier job. I think it's not, it's also like, whether I understand that what you're doing is wrong or not, it's not my obligation to stop you, like, you know, to stop you from doing this. And I'm not committing this crime. Like, he didn't do this. And also, he's not telling him to do this either. He's simply like, you know, documenting it.
But think about it. Would you have that same opinion with other crimes?
If somebody is documenting like a murder?
Just fill in the blank. You don't have to say it. Fill in anything. Any crime you can imagine. Somebody, you know, people jumping somebody, you know, people assaulting someone.
I guess you're an accessory to that crime, yeah.
You're kind of an accessory. I mean, I know in this one it's not a violent crime, so it's, you know, it's kind of, we don't put it in the same category as, but at the same time, it's a crime that's kind of being, you know, exacerbated by the camera.
If I'm live streaming, walking around punching homeless chicks, and you're my cameraman, yeah.
Perfect example. Perfect.
Yeah, I guess. I don't want, yeah.
I mean,
I just empathize for him because I know that he's not, you know, he doesn't yield the same rewards that Vitali yields from these videos going up. Like, he's just doing a 9 to 5, you know what I'm saying? This guy's getting rich doing that. He's accepting this risk based off of all the possible rewards.
True.
And I feel like now this cameraman's in this position where he now has suffered the same fate, but never had any of the same rewards.
I agree. He's just like he's like 1099 pretty much. He's just getting like a work for hire. But anyway, yeah, just moral of the story, don't go to other countries and act like you do in America. It's not going to be a good thing.
Yeah.
Go out there. Other places don't have freedom of speech. So don't go to Canada calling somebody a dummy because they'll sentence you to like 5 years. They arrest you in the UK for, have you seen that? People getting arrested for tweets over there?
Dude, the UK is crazy with that shit. If you post something wild on your Facebook, they're coming to your crib and they're going to put you in a box.
Dude, just reposting.
Yeah.
If somebody posts something that they don't like,
straight to jail.
And you repost it, bro, some guy's gonna show up in a top hat or whatever they be wearing over there.
Oh, but somebody's gonna show up in a bowler. If you like that post, they're gonna show up wowie. They're gonna show with the blue lights, all that. They're gonna show up in a car that you have never seen before, because their cop cars are not like cars that we even sell out here. Shit, there's gonna be one guy.
Wowie.
Yeah.
Wowie.
Everybody's gonna be holding sticks, and then there's one guy with an MP5, and he's got it zip tied to him.
Oh my god, dude, I'm literally crying, bro.
Yeah, dude, me? That's crazy. Be careful. And they're put you. What'd you say about Boris?
Bro, exactly.
Tell me you hate Elon.
Yo, what's crazy is they're locking you up for words over there in the UK. Meanwhile, everybody's getting stabbed over there. Everybody's getting stuck over there. Did you ever see that video of that dude that jumps in that Uber?
No, I seen the video of the dudes fighting at the kitchen spot, though, at the chicken spot.
Oh, with the machetes? When they each pull out a sword. Each one of these dudes pulls out a sword, and the one dude's with his chick. And I'm like, yo, what in the Highlander is going on here?
Dude, they were fighting inside of a small chicken spot. Sword fighting, dude. Bro. They were sword fighting in a small chicken place. This place was not a place where you order and leave. There was not a table to eat in this place.
It was like a Crown Fried.
Bingo.
It was there was like two little tables by the window, and there's like a takeout counter.
Yeah, and these dudes just scrapping with swords. Dude, how crazy is that's a thing?
Bro, the dude, he was like holding him back, like keeping him out of the store with like this, like, yo, he was just like parrying and shit, like, and like keeping the dude back out of the door. Then finally the guy gives up and leaves.
I just thought of something.
What?
You know how in America, like a lot of people like will train martial arts and stuff like that, and if if they were to get into an altercation in the street, for the most part, when they knock people out in the street, like looks cool, or it doesn't look cool. It's like, it's more of a possibility, right? Like you see like UFC fighters or fighters in general knocking people out in the street.
Yeah, what, like Joe Schilling in that bar?
Yeah, stuff like that. Like that stuff happens, right? And those are the people who will be dominant in street fights for the most part, right? There's obviously exceptions where people hit people with rocks and things like that.
Yeah. You mean if samurais start to move to the UK?
Well, all I'm saying is that the people who are successful over there in the streets are the fencers.
Oh.
So they got, which I'm not saying the fencers are soft, but all I'm saying is that if those are your tough guys, that breeds a totally different standard of gangster, right?
Completely different, dude. Imagine one of those like breeds with like an American marksman. Forget it, bro.
World
Olympic
domination.
medals, world domination, dude.
But can you imagine, like, you run up on somebody and they just put that helmet on and it's like, what you want, bruv?
Yeah, what do you want?
Hey, look at that no cunt, and they start chefing people up and they got that stupid fencing mask. That's what I'm saying.
Dude, it's terrifying. The way these guys go after each other with knives. I mean, I saw that, dude, this video I saw, this dude comes running, jumps in the Uber, jumps in the back of the Uber, and he's like, go, drive. Yo, dude, they're pulling open the doors, and everybody, as he's sitting in the back, he's like in the middle of the back seat. Yo, they're just stabbing him, from like different sides, and he's like, go, drive, and the guy's like, no, please, the driver, and he's like, go, bro. They're just poking him up, and he's so hyped up that he don't even know. He's literally over here trying to fight, and he's got a knife in his hand too. So he's trying to fight these guys off while they come in this side and poke him and shit. And then he's like, and he goes this way, and they come in the other side and start poking him. It was like 6 guys outside the car just chasing him. And then finally the guy starts driving off. I'm like, what? Yo, it looks so insane to me. I don't even know how people can live this way, bro.
Yeah, the UK knife like their knife crime is crazy. You guys start putting straps in these people's hands. Once they plug like 2 of them, that shit bring them. You want to quiet that knife fighting shit down? Give 2 of them guns,
bro.
Give 2 of them guns, and then they're gonna plug like 2 or 3 people, and then no more. They're gonna be like, wait a second, people got guns now.
Yeah, can't be bringing a knife to a gunfight.
Yeah,
But
Spaz says real quick. I just want to close on this because I think this is in regards to our last conversation in reference towards Vitali. I think the relationship is going bigger. Is going to be a big factor. Y'all assuming he's a 1099 nobody, but it's very likely that one of his good friends and probably instigating, posting the video on Discord now, both videos now. That is true. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that's true. It probably is a good friend, and they're probably getting money doing this, bro. I'm sure they're getting money doing this.
If that's the case too, it's like that's also a reason why it's like, well, maybe you shouldn't be. Maybe you should be in a box with him. Right?
Well, you won't, bruv.
Yeah,
with the fencing mask on.
Yeah, can you imagine people in the UK just start? Where is it in the Discord? He says posting in the Discord now. So
probably in media or podcast topics.
Could be. Did you see this plane crash? The Spaz posted in the another plane crash, dude.
Dude, I can't with this plane crash. I'm actually going to tell you a little something that's interesting about the planes going on. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
So, you know how there's just this big discrepancy in schooling and training now, right? That there's just, I don't know if you're aware of this, but a lot of different industries, the bar has been lowered.
Okay, yeah.
For competency and
shit. There's not as many experts as there once was.
Exactly. So they shouldn't be talking about anything.
Let alone flying fucking planes.
Yeah, bro. This woman was on a podcast I watched. She's a pilot for like 35 years, commercial pilot and everything. Her husband's a pilot. Like this is like a plane flying ass family.
Yeah,
bunch of aviators. Mm-hmm. She said that the kind of people that are coming out of school now to fly planes, they're not aviators. She's like, they're computer operators, that they're learning in simulations, but they don't actually know the equipment. They don't understand how to troubleshoot stuff. Like, they don't know how things work. It's a different thing. She said she was flying. I was flying. I had a young man was my co-pilot, she said. And she says, he had flown multiple times. This was not his first time. He's a co-pilot. He's flown planes before, like for the airline. She said, when I begin our descent and I have everything set up and we're coming down toward the runway, he asks me if he can ask me a question. And she's like, sure, what do you got? Like, she's like, I'm looking at everything, all the stuff you got to look at, all the tools and then plus like the depth, everything, listening to the what do you call air traffic controllers. And he says, what do you look at when you land? And she's like, what? And he's like, what am I supposed to be looking at? Like when you land the plane. She's like, you mean you don't know where you're supposed to be looking? Like what you're supposed to land on? Kind of shit.
The tarmac? The lines? I don't know.
She's like, I couldn't believe that he asked me that. Like he didn't know what to be focusing on. He didn't know what the main thing is that you're supposed to be doing when you land. So she said after they landed, she just went and had him, she had him go to like further training and stuff. He still works for the airline. She said he's a good pilot now, but it's just concerning to her that these people know nothing. She said if the computer malfunctions at all, they don't know anything.
Yeah.
She's like, they have no idea about anything. All they know how to do is use the computer, like use the software to fly the plane, not actually fly the plane.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's like that with a lot of like education you get, right? You don't really get to learn stuff until you're actually in the field, like doing it. Like you get a general knowledge in school. While I think like if you're going to be flying planes and like when you get out, the expectation is that you fly people and around in a metal box, then you should, get enough practice to be able to do that. But, you think of every other job, they pretty much just train you on the job. Like a lot of other jobs, you finish school and then you get there and then they're like, you don't know anything. It's like, theory.
Yeah.
But you don't really know how to do anything.
No, that is very true. It is very true.
But this plane is a plane that crashed in Boca Raton, so Florida. And this is the what's known. 3 people were killed in a small plane crash in Boca Raton Friday morning. The crash happened after the plane, a Cessna 310, had taken off from the Boca Raton airport. Officials say there were reports that the plane was experiencing mechanical issues before it went down. Videos show a ball of fire and heavy smoke after the plane crash near roadways and railroad tracks. The man who was in the car on the ground was injured when the plane came down next to his vehicle. The FAA and NTSB are investigating the cause of the crash. So they still don't know what's going on, but it sounds like it's a technical malfunction. The helicopter the other day in Manhattan, what is going on? It can't be that this always happens, but now the news is just covering it more because, like, where like it's bringing eyeballs to it. There's something going on with these planes. I don't know. Are all these graduates of the same year from that guy who didn't know where to look where he landed? Like, what is the deal?
I'm gonna be honest, man. I happen to know someone that's very close to someone that works in like, aviation, FAA type of work. Mm-hmm. And a couple years ago, they told me that they were starting to cut safety protocols and stuff like that and inspections and stuff. Like they were lowering the, kind of the support for safety operators, safety regulators, inspectors, all that kind of stuff in this field in aviation. So given these Cessnas wouldn't be being evaluated by these people, these are probably privately owned planes. They're not going to have the same kind of people, but commercial flights. Remember we were talking how crazy it was with the, we talked a while back when all that stuff was going on with Boeing, with the planes falling and the door coming off mid-flight. And they found that they were using duct tape instead of like real airplane tape.
Yeah.
They were using dish soap as lubricant.
Yeah, that don't have too much of an ejection.
Yeah, it's just crazy stuff. So who knows what it has to do with, or maybe it's just always been happening. It's just getting tons of news coverage now. Cause
that's what my question is, you know?
Yeah. Because I'm telling you what, man, whenever there's some shit going on with an airplane, I'm looking.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays with the recent stuff. Dude. It's just,
Did you see like what the deal was with that helicopter in Manhattan that went down in the Hudson?
What? No, what was it?
Dude, it was, I'm not sure. They said they think it was like some kind of equipment failure, but it was a family visiting from another country, and they were doing the aerial tour of the skyline.
They're
and
visiting
stuff.
from Spain.
Is that where they were from?
Spanish family.
Damn. Whole family dead.
Yeah.
Whole family, dude. And a pilot.
Not just a pilot. The dude was like a Navy SEAL or something.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Damn.
Did you hear, speaking of crazy stuff, did you hear about the guy who set the governor of Pennsylvania's house on fire?
No.
So, these people like going to, I hate to say it, but we talked about this before when the guy from Jersey, was he from Jersey? The guy that ran up in his house, the guy was naked.
Oh no, it's California, man.
California.
Nancy Pelosi's husband.
We need to have like,
And he had no pants on, and he had like a Manhattan in his hand. He had like an old fashioned.
there needs to be something like, we can't like let this stuff happen where like, our elected officials are, going through stuff like this, like people trying to burn down their house with their families inside of it. It's crazy. But I have like a cliff notes or somebody burned down the house where the governor of Pennsylvania lives.
Was there anybody in the house?
No, they all survived. Everybody, they're not in the house. They can't live in the house right now because most of it is, burnt up. The guy ends up turning himself in, which I think is super weird.
Sounds like an insurance scam.
Oh,
Go
think
ahead.
so?
Yeah, it could be. I don't trust any of these politicians, bro. I don't trust a single politician for shit.
I'll give you a quick summary
ahead.
and then we could talk about it. So, Cody Balmer, 38, has been denied bail after being charged with attempting to set fire to the Pennsylvania governor's Josh Shapiro's residence in Harrisburg. He allegedly used a homemade Molotov cocktail to ignite the blaze early Saturday morning, forcing the evacuation of Shapiro, his family, and guests during Passover. How fucking dare him?
How dare he? How dare he?
Crazy. Hang this guy. No injuries occurred, but the mansion was significantly damaged. He faces multiple charges, including attempted homicide, arson, and terrorism. He turned himself in and admitted to harboring hatred for the governor, even saying that he would attack him if given the chance. Authorities are investigating political motives, including anti-Semitism and mental health issues.
Isn't that crazy, bro? Just because the guy's last name is Shapiro, the kid gets a hate crime.
Yeah, it was Passover.
I mean, come on.
But look at look at the current climate. It's crazy that they got like this, like that word, like they got this own special. Like I don't even want to touch this. I don't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole. This guy is an anti-Semite. Lock him up, hang him, drown him, whatever you guys got to do. I'm not fucking touching this one at all.
That's it. I'm definitely not going down the Manhattan hole on this one.
Yeah, you don't want no fucking problems with the JM, dog.
I'm not trying to go down the tunnel. Not even close. So, yeah, we'll switch topics.
Yeah, I think it's terrible.
But yeah, he burned the house.
Whether this guy is Jewish or not, you can't be lighting people's houses on fire. It's crazy.
No, that's insane, dude.
It doesn't matter who it is. It's
Yeah.
like you can't be lighting people's houses on fire when they have their family and guests in the house is like bonkers.
Wait, they were in the house?
Yes, they needed to be evacuated.
Damn, they were in the house during Passover. Whoa.
That's crazy. Whether it was motivated by the fact that this guy's religion or not, it's like irregardless, it's like crazy.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing.
Yeah.
You can't just be setting people's house on fire.
It's crazy, and you shouldn't do it no matter what the motivation is. Craziness, lighting people's. I mean, I don't know.
What other topics you got over there? I know you got something else.
We got 6 minutes left, and we're gonna end this one off.
I know you got something else.
I got one more. Have you heard about the autistic teen who was shot by police?
I think I heard a slight bit about it, but I have zero details, and I'd like to get them all right now.
I'll give you the synopsis that I have here from an article that I read. Let's see if there's a... Oh no, this isn't the... This information is about the... Okay, so I'll give you the story. I don't have any notes on it. Is there something funny in the chat?
Yeah, sorry. Spaz just made me laugh.
Did he say something funny? If it's anti-Semitism, you don't repeat it, all right?
All right. No, I'm just kidding. No, he said, I'm glad that you clarified that it was a homemade Molotov cocktail and not one of those ones sold at the local Walmart.
Yeah, well, listen, man, I can't. When I put the article into the AI and it gives me the summary, I can't control what it spits out. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way it was illustrated. I need it to be clear. Yeah. This wasn't one of those, those professional grade store-bought Molotov cocktails.
That's right. Not one of them things that you can go and pick up at the local Christmas tree shop.
Somewhere in some state, Texas, Georgia, one of those states, they're selling those puppies in the store.
100%. On 4th of July, you could get that thing.
Oh.
Multiple states.
I want to talk about the autistic kid that the cop shot. There's a story going around. People are upset because the police arrived at a scene where there was a teen in the yard wielding a knife, and he was shot by the police. And today or yesterday, the kid was on life support. They what's the appropriate term for this?
Withdrew care.
They withdrew care, and he's no longer with us. But I think that one of the sentiments that seems like the public is displaying, that the police didn't do enough to de-escalate this situation. Some people are saying that this is a knife-wielding person, and the police don't know their mental state, nor like any conditions that they might have. The police are also trained to protect themselves, at all times. So there's a lot of like back and forth between both sides on what the situation is over here. Is this merited? Is this the case where they were in danger and they needed to protect themselves, or did they kind of jump the gun? No pun intended.
Yeah, I was gonna say jump the gun, but I mean, listen, you charge a police officer with a knife, it's not gonna go well for you. Now, whether I know a lot of times they say that it may be something related to the kid's issues, but that knife has the same amount of damaging capability in his hands as it does anybody else's hands. It's a fixed blade, and he's going to go stick this cop. So, I mean, whether or not they need to put 9 hot ones in him, I don't know.
Yeah.
But listen, man, I don't know.
I think it's a terrible situation.
It's
no
a terrible
what, right?
situation, but there's certain shit. You play stupid games, whether you know the rules or not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Dude,
sad.
Shout out to the derelicts in the chat. He says, Berto sounds like he's making this up. Every once in a while, I throw a curveball at the end of the episode. I just make up a story. No, this is not, dude. This is crazy. This is a video.
Put it on.
Nah.
What number is it on?
What? It's not. I don't have the video. I don't have the video of the police shooting this.
Yeah, we'll get flagged for
teen.
that. Nah, but damn. So
it's a terrible situation.
I guess so. I'm assuming he got out of hand. Mom called, or somebody in the house called the police to come and help.
The neighbors called the police about a knife-wielding man in the yard. And in the video, you can see like the neighbors talking, or somebody like at the fence talking to this guy, like they leaned on the fence, and the guy, the teen, is holding a knife, rather big knife, if I do say so myself. Not one of those UK ones, but a medium, like a big knife for America,
Yeah.
And there's somebody holding him back by the shirt, and then at that point, the police come around the corner, and imagine there's like a 4-foot fence, like a 4-foot fence, and they're on the other side of the fence.
Like one of those front yard fences in the hood.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Bingo. Right. The police are on one side. This guy's on the other side. He begins to approach him, and then the video just cuts, which I assume is at the point that these guys start shooting at this kid.
You got a couple. Drop the weapon. Drop the weapon.
He probably got 2. Dude, it didn't last long. It was probably like 2 seconds. And it's like 6 of them like lined up at this fence.
Wow.
Yeah, it's you know why it's terrible? Because we know this in hindsight about this whole situation. They're not able to make that determination in that minute, and we don't know what the result was going to be, the other way around. Like, would it have been okay that he stabbed a police officer?
The thing is, in that moment, the only thing that you can determine is he's got a knife and he doesn't want to be my friend. We're not friends. You're not approaching me with a knife because you want to put cream cheese, on my bagel. Pause.
Yeah.
You're not coming over here to put butter on an English muffin. You're approaching me with a knife. So I know we're not friends.
Bingo. So shout out to Saisha in the chat. She said the child was in his backyard and the cops didn't even go into the yard. Spaz says this changes his opinion. And then Saisha says the mom was yelling at the cops, don't shoot, and they still shot. So here's the thing. Yes, he is in the backyard. It's one of those California backyards, though. There's still, like I said, this 4-foot fence. It's not like this guy is behind an 8-foot vinyl fence. He's in the backyard that looks like a front yard.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm not saying the mother could yell whatever she wants. These guys still have, and I sound like I'm like on the cop side on this one, and maybe I am on the cop side. It's a terrible situation regardless, but at the end of the day, like there's no special treatment for anybody. If somebody is committing a crime and they're going to harm somebody, like that's what these guys are here for, right? They're here to stop this. And while they could have used a little more de-escalation, they most certainly couldn't have gone in the yard. If you watch the video, this guy's close enough to the edge of the yard that they can't go in there. And also, is it safe to go into this yard with this kid with a knife in his hand? But you look at like the situation and you ask yourself, like, I think the only question to ask here is like, what is the alternative?
Yeah. Well, the only alternative is that, okay, he harms somebody, harms himself, harms them, harms his mom, or something like that. I mean, I don't know. It's a crazy situation to be in like I said, the only thing that you can analyze there in the moment is this guy's he's not coming to me for a good reason. It's like if somebody breaks in your house, like in New York, they have an issue if you use lethal force against somebody that enters your home in a lot of cases. You're getting a round or two of double-aught buckshot before I ask you questions about what you're doing in my house. All right? I'm sorry. You didn't break into my home to bring me flour.
Yeah.
You didn't come in here to help me with the dishes. You broke in the house to do something facetious. You're trying to do something. You're trying to cause some harm. You're trying to rob. You're trying to harm people that I care about. No. You come in here, I'm sorry.
Do you want to see the video?
Yeah.
I have the video here. You can watch it.
Do you have it?
Yeah. So in the video, you can see he's like waving the knife at his mom. You got the neighbors outside.
All right.
This is his backyard. There is a street in that backyard. So like that's why I said it's like
it's like one of those California little alleyway backyards.
Yeah. So you'll see the video and then you can make the determination. And Spaz did say something in the chat.
Damn, did he pull his weapon out already? I could have definitely could have gone. Oh wait, and there's a dog back there too. Oh no, that's not a dog. That's the kid. Oh, they shot him from the other side of the fence.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said they were on the other side of the fence.
Wait a minute. That's crazy. And there's 4 of them. Damn, they did him like Waco, Texas, bro. Is this a different body cam now?
They shot him pretty quick. I will say that. Like,
bro,
they didn't really wait at all.
He was on the other side of the fence. That changes my opinion entirely.
But that's why I said, so is the expectation that they go in there?
No, the expectation is you stay outside of there.
And you try to de-escalate?
Yeah, and you're like, hey, buddy, you at least got to talk to, you got to say some words first. Or there's other options. They got tasers, they got pepper spray. You pepper spray that kid, trust me, man. He's gonna start flapping like crazy, bro. You.
That is very true.
If you hit him with the pepper spray or you hit him with something, there's a barrier between them.
Yeah,
he's just gonna start trying to pawn at his face. He's a kid. Like, yeah, I don't think they needed to use lethal force. That one dude had an AR. It looked like.
Spaz says, if the police keep their distance, then what is the risk? The kid hurts himself. His mother was in the yard with him. There's definitely safer ways to handle the situation with enough time and resources. How is he harming himself worse than the police using lethal force?
Yeah.
Taser, rubber bullets, chainmail. I agree with all those. Yeah. So here's my take. After watching the video again, I do think that, like I said originally, they jumped the gun. Like it happened too quickly.
Yeah.
I think that they probably could have de-escalated it. I don't know. This is a tough one.
Yeah, no.
Because I think that it's easier to argue against them because of how terrible the result was.
Yeah, and I also think that in the, in that split second, in that moment, I I'm sure that how does it work? Does every officer that responds to the scene understand exactly what's happening, or does the first person on scene know and then kind of disperse information? You know, I wish I knew that process, because I wonder if everybody knew.
Yeah, I don't know that. And also, another question to Spaz's point about the taser and the rubber bullets and things like that. Is that something that all officers carry? Right? Is there like another clip that's got rubber bullets in it, or like a super long taser? Because I don't think he was within taser range.
He was within taser range.
Was he? Okay.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. At that end part,
Yeah.
100%. When he stood up on the fence, like with his hands on the gate and stood up, if they plugged him right there.
Oh, I didn't see him get to the fence. He touched the fence?
Oh yeah.
Because the video I seen cut off.
Yeah, well, he touches the fence and then it cuts off. Because I'm sure at that point they started. They were like 3 feet from him. That's point blank, damn near. That's like
They were 3 feet from him?
Dude, they were very close to him. If the person that I'm thinking is the kid.
Now I gotta rewatch it.
Yeah, just go all the way to the end. If you go all the way to the end, you could see him up at the gate. I thought it was a dog, but it's him. He looks like he's crawling or something, and then he stands up. Am I bugging? Go to the end. He's like toward the ground, which I thought it was a dog, but then he stands up and he's like in a hoodie or something.
He's in the fence.
Like, I don't know.
Mom's
Maybe.
yelling. He's on the floor. He gets up, starts walking. I think he was further. Like at this point, this looks like where the video cuts off. This is the same part that cut off for me. I think he's further than 3 feet away from the fence.
Trying to
He's
see
not like-
who.
It's the guy that's in the yard, not the one up against the fence. That's a neighbor, I think. Because it looked like the kid was sandwiched in between his mom and the neighbor being outside the fence. And like it looks like the neighbor was trying to, de-escalate the situation.
No, I think.
Maybe the cops just show up in there. This guy's got a knife. His mom's over there.
I think it's him that pops up.
He's on the floor. He stands up, and that's him right there.
Yeah, he's up against the fence.
No, he's not up against the fence in that image.
Sure he is. Here. I'm gonna rewind it a little bit. Watch him pop up at the end. He pops up.
He's like in the middle of the yard.
And watch him. He comes up right up to the fence. He stands up. He's right by the corner there of the chain link fence, right where that post is. And then he's gonna stand up.
I wish I knew what he was saying.
He's going to stand up right here and come to the fence, and it freezes. Bang, and it freezes right there.
If he was in the middle of the yard when he was laying down, he took a step.
Yeah.
No way. He's not close to the fence, I don't think. And I think
He's touching it. Zoom in.
Nah. That's just the angle. Because look, would you say that when he's on the floor, he's in the middle of the yard?
Let me see. No, I mean, dude, he's literally... Oh, no, maybe he's not. Maybe you're right.
It's the angle that makes
but
it look
still,
like this.
he's maybe 2 feet from the fence?
Him
3
being
feet?
closer to the fence makes a better argument for the police.
But no, they can just increase distance by backing up.
But there's just somebody behind him that he can harm. He was waving that knife at that who I presume is his mother behind him.
Yeah.
And I'm not sitting here. I don't want to.
No, that's a good point.
I don't want to play the role of just protecting the police because if anybody's watched this story long enough, I feel like I go back and forth. I'm just trying to.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was definitely the angle, because even Spaz says that he's not touching it. It looked like, I thought they were closer to the fence than they, when they're tussling, and then he stands up and takes a step and grabs the fence. But no, either way, I mean, he's feet from the fence.
Yeah.
5 feet probably max away from the fence.
So do they say that, they did this to protect the other woman that's there?
Yeah, that could be. I mean, it's their protect and serve. That's part of the deal, is they're supposed to protect people within that region. If he's gonna stab someone, maybe that woman didn't know. It's like giving Narcan to a dopehead that wakes up and then gets mad that you killed his high. It's like, bro, you were dead.
Yeah, facts. Spaz says 0 doubts that a cowboy with a half decent lasso couldn't handle this situation. 100%. I agree.
100% should have brought in the mounted unit.
Yeah, they should.
That's what they should have done.
Yeah, or they should start carrying around net guns. And as you guys know, I've talked about this before. I'm a big proponent for net guns. I think they should be used more often.
Yeah.
I think if they would have netted that kid, they wouldn't have had any of these problems.
That's right. Throw a nice little cast net on them like some bunker at the marina.
I almost said something crazy. I don't think every officer has those handy, but I'm sure they can have one of them within 10 minutes if they are decent. If they are a decent department. He's not touching it. It's definitely an illusion. Hey, but 10 minutes when there's a knife wielding person and another person who could become a victim near them is a long time. And then I think this is where because I don't want to keep defending the cop. Because it's hard to make the defense because such a terrible thing happened as a result of it, right? And I don't want to be making the argument that I'm rationalizing them shooting this kid.
I mean, the kid had a knife.
It's a tough one, yeah.
The kid did have a knife. I mean, he had a weapon. We just talked about these crazy dudes in the UK that are just chefing everybody up, stabbing everybody in the back of the Uber while the stupid driver don't hit the gas.
Yeah, so do we say that because he's autistic that we should have more precaution, or should there have been something else? Because that's the only
What are
difference.
they supposed to do? Throw puzzle pieces at him?
No, but
I mean, what are we supposed to do here?
Roll a Rubik's Cube in there?
Yeah.
I gotta think it's but is that, it seems like that's the reason why this story has the amount of empathy that it does.
Yeah, no, that's true. Because there was a situation that was not too good, and it was in New York, and it was super sad. And it was for a similar reason, because the kid was disabled. Mom called the police because you couldn't handle him. He was aggressive and big. I think he had some kind of developmental issue, but he was at this point older. Like, this is not a tiny kid. This isn't a 3-year-old, 4-year-old autistic kid that's in this video that we're talking about. Mm-hmm. This is a larger kid. He's a teenager?
He's a teen.
Dude, there's strength there. There's, mom's going to have a hard time managing the strength of that kid any day now.
Yeah, dude, the reason why he's in the yard is probably because she couldn't keep him in the crib.
Yeah, dude, I still to this day remember the time when I hit the age where my mom smacked me, hit me with a chancleta or something, and it didn't hurt anymore. It's like that. That's a different day. You know what I'm saying? That's a different day where you're like, oh shit, I can take this now. This isn't like corporal punishment. I'm not, So it reminds me of that case in New York City where that kid, the mom called, but this was crazy. He was on the fire escape. The kid, acting aggressive and shit. They tased him from the fire escape.
Did he fall?
Bro, fell.
No fucking.
I think he died, bro.
That's not funny.
He's not laughing because it's funny. He's laughing because it's outrageous.
How outrageous it is that you tase somebody on a ledge.
Bro hit him and he was like, right over the shit, bro. And the whole thing was why'd they go so OD?
Take the camera off me.
Sorry. Why'd they go so OD and hit him with that shit? That shit is crazy. So in this situation, bullets, live rounds. But see, and the fact they hit him 9 times, it sounds like so many shots, but there's 4 officers with weapons pointed at him.
Yeah,
4 officers is a lot, dude. And they're trained to shoot, I think, 3 shots at the torso. You're trained to neutralize, police officers are trained to neutralize the threat. So if each one of them popped 3, that's more than 9. They probably shot 12 rounds.
They definitely missed a couple times. And the mom's lucky she didn't get plugged too, standing behind him like that. Spaz says, I definitely think that he goes, I threw it definitely in there. They didn't even say that. I think the police are justified to use deadly force, but should avoid using it whenever possible. 4 guns versus 1 knife. I don't know. The closest guy who probably shot could have backed up a while the other 3 aimed. Saisha says, I think the cops need to at least try to de-escalate the situation before 4 of them start shooting. Plus, it was a knife versus 4 guns. Yeah,
true. And we could all Monday morning quarterback this thing, right?
100%.
We can all armchair quarterback. We can all think of what could have been done differently. And that's natural too. I'm sure that the entire department analyzed this situation after the fact.
Even the people who were involved in this probably look back and are there alternative ways that this could have happened?
Yeah.
Yes. Unfortunately, this is the way that it did happen. And it's difficult to empathize. It's not difficult. It's easy to empathize, but it's difficult to, to rationalize this because of the situation. It was a young, no matter what his condition was, he was a young man who, was shot and killed as a result of something that probably was just a simple fight that got, overboiled or, something that happened, that didn't need to result in a death, but it did.
Yeah. And Yeah, it's sad, but you have to think about, kind of what goes through their mind. And there's been studies that have been done that, and I think, I don't know if it's part of the training, but I know there's studies that have been done that show the reaction when your partner, one of your officers you're with, shoots, you start shooting, and kind of everybody starts shooting. Like, you remember when that guy was on the steps and he had like a sandwich in his hand?
It was a Snickers or something.
Bro, it was like a foot long.
Yeah.
Or something like that. It was like a meatball parm.
Yeah, he got plugged in that stairwell.
Bro, they shot that dude so many times. Same as that other, as that dude with the wallet. Remember, he had his wallet. I forget his name. Say his name. I don't know his name, but
say my name.
Bro,
say my name.
they shot him up mad times, bro. They shot like 45 rounds at him. I think they only hit him like 12.
Bro, they changed a bunch of rules since they shot that kid in that stairwell.
Bro, oh yeah, bro. Yeah, they were like, listen, everybody needs to make sure you got your flashlight out.
Yeah, they made it.
I know the light was out in the staircase.
That's so funny because that's the joke I was going to go with. I was going to say they make them wear the flashlights over their shoulders.
Yeah, but
I think the derelict said, now you see, come? Is that what he said? Now you come?
yeah.
The kid in the hotel hallway? No, we're talking about the NYPD cop that shot that Asian dude in the stairwell in like an apartment building.
No, it was definitely an Asian guy.
That shot somebody else? Is that the way it worked?
Yeah.
I apologize. It's the other way around. It was the Asian cop.
Yeah.
I don't know why their race is relevant, but I remember there's somebody Asian involved in this.
It might have just been somebody that witnessed it. I don't know. But there was somebody involved. All right. Somebody Asian was in that scenario. Yeah. I remember they reported it. It was facts. It came from the news. It had to be real.
It had to be. Well, they're experts.
Yeah, of course. And we're not.
We're not experts. So take everything we say with a spoonful of salt. Don't repeat it to any of your friends because we're probably wrong. That being said.
But hopefully you're entertained. But that being said.
That's it.
That's it. Messing Up Podcast. I think we're going to wrap up. Make sure we touched on everything in the chat there if anybody responded.
Daniel Shaver. Look it up. It's mind-boggling. Look up his case. It's mind-boggling. Daniel Shaver, we're going to talk about him next week. Next Tuesday, tune in. We're going to be talking about Daniel Shaver and all the shaving that went down.
Yeah. Mastering Up Podcast, episode 245.
245. And I say that Shaver joke not knowing the story at all. So if there's shaving involved in this, I apologize if I've offended anybody.
Yeah. Masters of None, episode 245. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to everybody that's in the chat. Shout out to Derelict. Shout out Spaz. Shout out Saisha. Thank you. Shout out everybody and all the supporters. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell so that every single time we go live, post a video or post a short, you get notified. And listen to us on audio podcast platforms. And if you don't find us on your favorite one,
harass us. Join a Discord. Lots of fun stuff going on in Discord. Get on there. If we're not on your favorite podcast platform, join a Discord and harass us until we place the podcast on your obscure podcast listening platform. Like Justin said, you guys will listen to us everywhere. Spotify, Google Play Store, all that good stuff.
Thank you.
We're on the Google Play Store.
Yeah, we are, my friend.